Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Roan. Their commuter collection gets you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Get 20% off by using promo code CHATSPORTS over at roan.com/chatsports. With OTAs set to begin on Tuesday for the Dallas Cowboys, the latest update on CeeDee Lamb. He still remains away from the team, working out with his personal trainer. It's not just his, but his wide receiver coach. And I don't expect to see Lamb when OTAs open up on Tuesday. I would be happily surprised if he is present. Expectation is, for the voluntary stage at minimum, CeeDee Lamb will not be there without a new contract. And I can't say I totally blame him either, given how much money he is about to command from the Dallas Cowboys. And for now, it's not a problem. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what OC Brian Schottenheimer said on Lamb and his absence. It doesn't matter right now. CeeDee's a pro. He's going to know what to do. I know Dak and the guys have some communication with him. We know he's taking care of business. And when he gets back here, we'll certainly be able to find ways to get him the ball. Look, I agree with Schottenheimer. Right now, Lamb's absence isn't a big deal. It's probably not a big deal for at least a month, I think. Here are the key offseason dates coming up for the Cowboys, right? OTAs go from May 21 to 23, and again from the 29th to the 31st. Mandatory minicamp is June 4th to the 6th. That is mandatory. The fines for missing out on that are not that impactful. You could also maybe see a hold-in situation for Lamb at mandatory minicamp. The real deadline is in late July when Cowboys training camp gets going out in Oxnard. It's a holdout if Lamb doesn't show up for mandatory minicamp, but that's a minimal fine. It's not that important. The Cowboys sometimes cancel a day of minicamp too, or at least have like a kind of a light, relaxing day just because they don't need to do that much physical stuff, frankly. Training camp is the real date. If Lamb's not there for training, if he's not on the plane, if we do it again with the holdout player not on the plane to training camp, it's a big deal. And at that point, it's a problem because the fines are significant. And even if he is there, we'll have to monitor, hey, is he holding in and not doing anything and just being present and being there so he don't get fined? So will Lamb get a deal done before training camp? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on this video. You should know exactly what that means. When that comes on YouTube, ignore it. Head down to the pinned comment and let me know Y or N. I will be worried if it's not done by then. Even if he's not there for minicamp, be like, hey, let's get that deal done. Urgency gets notched up a level. But the whole deadlines make deals thing this team loves, that's your deadline. I got a deal done by training camp. Something didn't go right. Look, it's going to be expensive. The Cowboys and ownership said, we want to see some leaves fall. Leaves have fallen. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a couple extra $100,000 more than Tyreek Hill. A.J. Brown got 32. CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to challenge to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. That's the market. That's how this works. The cap keeps going up. Lamb is better and younger than A.J. Brown is. He's going to get more unless he chooses to take less. And that doesn't happen very often on a player's first contract. Now, at some point, Micah Parsons will also join that list. I would think that Micah's back for OTAs. Clarence Hill saying he's back in Dallas, which I don't know if Chill meant that was, he's going to be back for OTAs or if he was just literally back in Dallas for the Mavs game. But that's the way he did last year, right? He did his training on the side, showed up for the OTAs and minicamp and stuff. So we'll know for certain on Tuesday, but I would guess to see Micah Parsons back out there and getting to get acclimated to the plans for Mike Zimmer this upcoming season. I think Zim thinks he can get more out of Micah than Dan Quinn did. As mentioned, today's show is made possible by Roan, as I rock one of the Roan polos here. Appreciate all the stuff that Roan does for us here at the Cowboys Report, and for me, off the field to an extent, or sometimes on the field, which I guess is work for me. I want to look good and feel good, and Roan helps me do that. They got products for every occasion: pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, and blazers. Their signature 4-way stretch fabric is breathable, flexible, and works everywhere from your commute to work to drinks to golf, whatever. I think it fits me properly, even though I've added a little bit more weight than maybe I prefer to. Working on that. Go to roan.com/chatsports and use code chatsports for 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you go to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. Find your corner office comfort and get that link and promo code in the comment section of the description. Upgrade your closet in the process. One more time, forget it's roan.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. More wide receiver talk on today's show. Mike Pfister suggesting the Cowboys looking to signing Michael Thomas in free agency. And look, the Cowboys did explore Zay Jones. Now, that was not a path that I guess either side ended up going down there. I don't think it's fair to say, well, they had interest in Jones, maybe Michael Thomas. Thomas has been a free agent this entire time. So, yeah, they've had interest in more receiver help, maybe veteran piece, but they could have signed Thomas at any point. And even with the post, comp pick impact, Thomas was technically cut with the way the contract stuff is weird for the Saints, so it wouldn't have counted. So I've got thoughts on this, and I'm pretty firm on my thoughts. Would you sign Michael Thomas? S for sign, P for pass. Head down to the comments and let me know. Simply put, it's a no for me, dog. I don't want Michael Thomas in Dallas. Not this version. Not this player at this stage in his career. The 2019 Michael Thomas, where he had all those catches, okay, sure. That guy was really good. He was impactful. Yeah, he was slant boy, but they couldn't stop him. So who cares? They're calling me slant boy again. Yeah, well, they couldn't stop you, so whatever. Now, the average was never that impressive. It was all shorter stuff, but he always caught him. He didn't have very many drops. This dude can't get on the football field anymore. He has played 20 games in 4 years. 4 years worth of time, he has played 20 games. 10 in 2023, didn't do much. 3 in 2022, didn't play at all in 2021, and 7 in 2020. He's not the same guy anymore. I don't need another slow wide receiver on this team. I have enough of them. If I'm adding somebody, it should be someone with a little bit more juice than Michael Thomas. And by the way, if we're being honest here, Michael Thomas has made a big deal about not getting the ball at times and complaining about his quarterback. Well, he's not going to get fed the same way CeeDee Lamb is. He's not going to get fed the same way Brandon Cooks is. Is he going to willingly take a wide receiver 3 spot that, frankly, is going to be the 4th target option behind Jake Ferguson, too? I have my doubts about that. Now, if you want to meet with him and see if he's going to be honest with you and talk about it, sure, okay. But I don't think the fit is right for Michael Thomas. If I'm calling a slant, if I'm calling a short area pass, why would I give it to Lamb or Thomas over CeeDee Lamb? Kind of like when they kept calling up, quick slants for Michael Gallup. Why? Why are you doing that? Stop it. It's the exact same thing with Michael Thomas. Now, if you missed our mention earlier this morning, we will be doing Madden Sims every live show, watch party style, giveaways, raffles, and more. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Speaking of wide receivers, Inside the Star argued that maybe KaVontae Turpin is a dark horse for the wide receiver 3 spot. I frankly don't mind this argument because at least he brings you some juice. The speed you don't really have right now on this team. Turpin does offer that. Now, my concern here is that Dallas, this organization, this coaching staff, views Turpin as a gadget player. The efficiency is pretty good. The big plays are there, but he's never really been fully utilized as a down-in, down-out wide receiver. In fact, there's actually a pretty high ratio of his snaps resulting in him kind of getting targeted. There's a pretty high volume of the snap-to-touch ratio. He still played a decent amount this past season, but I don't know if Dallas views him as okay, this guy is going to be a player that we can fully trust on to be a starting caliber receiver, right? His snap counts this past year, he played 140 snaps among receivers. That was behind Lamb, behind Cooks, behind Tolbert, behind Gallup, ahead of Jalen Brooks. When he was out there, he had a bunch of catches and targets. When Turpin was out there, it was, hey, ball might go to him. Couldn't always stop him. but I think the Cowboys view him as a designed player, a designer player, someone that you have to scheme for. Like you can't just plug him in on the offense and say, okay, he's going to do the normal stuff. They want to try to use him differently. That's the difference between Tolbert and Turpin. Tolbert might play, I think will play more snaps this year. Turpin might be a bigger impact player once the ball goes in his hands. So of the wide receivers on this Cowboys roster, who do you want as wide receiver 3? KT for KaVontae Turpin, JT for Jalen Tolbert, RF for Ryan Flournoy, and JB for Jalen Brooks. One more free agency idea from our friends over at The Athletic. Randy Mueller. The Cowboys should sign Mason Cole to help at center because they lost Tyler Biadasz and have no veterans on there, which is partially true. Now, there was no mention of Cooper Beebe and no mention of Brock Hoffman. And I feel like that's actually a bit of a mistake because I want Beebe to start. Now, he's got to make the position change. That's not always a guaranteed thing. But I want Beebe to be the guy at center. And if it's not, I don't want it to be Mason Cole. You know, the run blocking grades were fine. Pittsburgh didn't run the ball that well, so I'm not sure I fully buy that run blocking grade. He also couldn't pass protect. It was honestly pretty bad. It was 31 pressures allowed on about 1,000 snaps. That's a pretty unnecessarily high ratio. In fact, that's a bad ratio for an interior offensive lineman. And this coaching staff, specifically Mike Solari, they love Brock Hoffman. Solari was out there calling Hoffman a veteran, which is kind of funny. Like he's talking about the veteran leaders on the offensive line. Like I think we have a tendency to forget Brock Hoffman was the same class as Tyler Smith. He's class of 2022. He's 24 years old. He is not a veteran. So the coaching staff calling him one tells you what they think about his character and his attitude. He's the classic, first guy in, last guy out. I would rather play Brock Hoffman at center than Mason Cole. I think because you drafted Cooper Beebe, you don't need to be adding someone like Cole in free agency.